I came home early. Quietly. He stepped out of the shower. I was waiting with his phone in my hand. Hope your next selfie looks as good from a hospital bed. I punched before the sound of his fall even echoed. The moment my knuckles cracked against his jaw, everything blurred into instinct. His body collapsed like a sack of bones onto the tiled floor, steam still rising off his skin. The phone slipped from my hand and skittered across the marble. My ears were ringing with rage, but my voice was eerily calm. Get the F*** up, I muttered, more to myself than him. He groaned, rolled halfway over, and spat something that looked like blood mixed with toothpaste. I stepped closer. For a second, I thought I was going to kill him. Actually kill him. My fist clenched again, ready to swing, but something in me pulled back. Maybe the years I spent building this life. Or maybe the tiny voice of my daughter echoing in my head, Daddy, don't be mad. He didn't look like an alpha now. Not the smug bastard from the photo who'd grinned next to my half-naked wife in the bed I paid for. Yeah, that's how it all started. 4 days ago, I was in Toronto, closing a deal with a new distributor. Late nights, spreadsheets, espresso shots, and hotel rooms that smelled like glass cleaner and pressure. Dana had stopped picking up my FaceTime calls 3 days into the trip. Said she had migraines. Said Brooklyn, our daughter, needed help with her school project. I bought it. Because I always bought her lies. Dana was persuasive like that. A smile, a soft touch, a joke at the right moment, she knew how to deflect with charm. But then, at a gas station near Syracuse, my phone lit up. Unknown number. One image. No caption. Just a photo. The bedroom. My bedroom. My wife. Smirking. Her hair a mess. A man beside her, shirtless, muscles flexed, sunglasses on his face like he thought he was in a rap video. And the worst part? My daughter had liked the post. She probably thought it was some meme or filter. She didn't know. But I did. I knew exactly what I was looking at. They weren't even trying to hide it. I didn't call. Didn't scream. I just drove. All night. Window down, music off, fist gripping the steering wheel so tight I thought I'd snap it. I replayed everything, her cold hugs, the girls' nights out, the sudden interest in yoga, the constant locking of her phone. Now here I was, standing over this loser in my bathroom, steam swirling like fog. Who the hell are you? I asked. He blinked up at me, dazed, blood on his lip. Logan, he muttered. Logan what? Why do you care, man? It's not like she's yours anymore. I kicked him before I realized I'd moved. He howled and curled in on himself. You don't get to talk about her. I snapped. Not here. Not in this ****ing house. Then I heard it. Laughter. Downstairs. Dana. She was laughing like nothing happened. Like she wasn't the one who set fire to our life. I walked out, hard hammering. I didn't even bother with shoes. She was in the kitchen, wearing one of my old college hoodies. No pants. Barefoot. Hair wet like she just showered too. She looked up and saw me and didn't even flinch. Oh, she said, sipping orange juice. You're back early. That tone. That smug, indifferent, I own your soul tone. It burned hotter than the punch. You invited him here? I asked. Dana shrugged. Well, you were gone. And Logan, he knows how to make me feel alive. Alive. That's what she said. Like I was a ghost. Like I hadn't built this house, sacrificed years, given her a child, trusted her. Did you even try to hide it? I asked. She rolled her eyes. Why would I? You never notice anything unless it hits you in the face. Guess that's what Logan did this morning. She smiled. I wanted to scream. Instead, I whispered, Brooklyn liked the photo. Her expression twitched for a millisecond. Just one crack in the ice. Then it hardened. She'll understand one day, Dana said. This is life, babe. People fall out of love. No, I said, voice low. People like you fall into beds they don't belong in. She crossed her arms and leaned on the counter like she was the one being inconvenienced. So, what now? You gonna cry? Hit me? Play the victim? I stared at her. Really stared. And for the first time in years, I saw her. Not the woman I married, but the one she'd become. She stood there, smug and barefoot, daring me to crumble. I didn't. Not then. I walked past her, grabbed a towel off the kitchen chair, his towel, by the way, and wiped the blood off my knuckles. My hand was shaking, but I forced it to stop. She was watching me, waiting for a reaction. A breakdown. Something she could twist into being my fault. Where's Brooklyn? I asked. At school, she replied. Why? You planning to drag her into this mess too? I turned and stared her down. She's already in it. You dragged her into it the moment you started letting strange men into our house. Dana scoffed and walked to the fridge like we were discussing grocery lists. Oh, please, Logan's not a stranger. We've known each other for months. Months. My vision went white for a second. My heart pounded in my ears like war drums. So that's what it was. That's why she'd been distant. Why she suddenly needed space. I thought it was just stress or burnout. Maybe even depression. I offered therapy. Vacations. More time together. I thought I was failing her. But she wasn't falling apart. She was falling into someone else's arms. You're unbelievable, I muttered. She turned, holding a yogurt cup, and said, No, I'm just honest now. I stopped pretending. I leaned against the counter, feeling like the floor under me was vanishing inch by inch. How long have you been planning this? Planning what? She peeled the foil lid off the yogurt. To finally enjoy my life? To stop being some corporate trophy wife while you live out your business fantasies in hotel rooms. You think I enjoy being gone? I snapped. You think I didn't want to be home? You think I missed bedtime stories and movie nights on purpose? She didn't respond. Just spooned yogurt into her mouth like my pain was background noise. I stared at her, this stranger in my kitchen. This woman who once clung to me during storms, who cried when I bought her that ring. The worst part? I didn't even know when I lost her. Was it last Christmas when she stayed behind to organize the house? Or when she stopped saying I love you before bed? Or maybe when she started going to that new gym and got too tired to talk afterward? The signs were everywhere, but I didn't want to see them. I turned and left the kitchen, walking back up the stairs. I needed air. Space. The bathroom still smelled like him. His cologne, his sweat, his filth. I grabbed his jeans off the floor and dug through the pockets. Wallet. Keys. Receipts. And then I found it. A hotel card. The Haven Suites, room 207. Dated last week. She said she was with her sister that weekend. That they went shopping. I slammed the card on the dresser and stared into the mirror. My reflection didn't even look like me anymore. Eyes bloodshot. Jaw clenched. I looked like someone who'd just crawled out of a war. And maybe I had. A war I didn't even know I was fighting. Downstairs, I heard Dana laughing again. On the phone this time. Her voice was light, flirty. Like nothing had happened. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't some lapse in judgment. She wasn't sorry. She didn't care. She was gone long before I even opened the front door. And I was just now catching up to the betrayal. I didn't go back downstairs right away. I sat on the edge of our bed, the bed where it all happened, and stared at the torn corner of the sheet, the dent in the pillow that wasn't mine. I used to feel comfort in this room. It used to smell like lavender and her shampoo. Now all I could smell was betrayal. Musky, arrogant betrayal. The hotel card burned in my hand like evidence in a murder case. And maybe that's what this was, the slow, calculated murder of a marriage. Death by 1,000 lies. Finally, I stood and walked back down, each step heavier than the last. She was still in the kitchen, legs crossed, phone to her ear, laughing softly. When she saw me, she didn't flinch. She hung up slowly, like a queen being inconvenienced. Done snooping? She asked, leaning back against the counter. I found the hotel card, I said quietly. She rolled her eyes. Oh, Jesus. What now? You gonna interrogate me like I'm some criminal? You lied, I said, stepping closer. You told me you were with your sister that weekend. Dana tilted her head. Yeah? So? I barked. So you were screwing your gym rat boyfriend in a suite while your daughter called you twice crying because she missed you. Something flickered across her face, maybe guilt, maybe just annoyance that I was raising my voice. Then she shrugged. Brooklyn's fine. Don't be so dramatic. You think that's dramatic? I stepped even closer, invading her space. Because I haven't even started yet. She pushed me back with one hand. Don't touch me. I don't want to, I snapped. I don't even know who you are anymore. Oh, don't be pathetic, Tyler, she said, voice dripping with venom. You always act like the victim. But this is on you. You were never here. You were always gone, chasing deals, playing Mr. Big Shot while I sat home alone. I laughed, bitter and sharp. So you F asterisk 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 Ed Logan to punish me? I F asterisk 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 Ed Logan, she said slowly, smiling, because he made me feel alive. Wanted. Not like some background decoration. I clenched my fists. My whole body vibrated with rage, but I didn't move. Not this time. I gave you everything, I whispered. I worked my ass off to give you this house, this life. You had everything, Dana. I had nothing, she hissed. You gave me money, not you. I was lonely, Tyler. Logan was just the first person who looked at me like I mattered. She walked past me, brushing her shoulder against mine like I was an inconvenience. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would shatter through my chest. You didn't even try to talk to me, I said. You just gave up. Dana turned around in the hallway and crossed her arms. You think I didn't try? She spat. You ignored every sign. I could have walked naked across the living room with a sign that said, I'm done, and you wouldn't have noticed. You never said you were unhappy. She smirked. Why would I? You just throw money at it like always. There it was. The truth. Cold, cruel, uncaring. Dana wasn't sorry. She wasn't even ashamed. She hated me, and she had for a long time. The woman I married was gone, and the one in front of me didn't love me. She didn't even respect me. I'm filing, I said, my voice flat. You'll hear from my lawyer tomorrow. She raised an eyebrow. You really think this scares me? No, I said, stepping closer. But I think being alone will. When the thrill wears off and Logan realizes he's stuck with a woman who destroys everything she touches, you'll know. Her face twitched. Just for a second. But it was enough. I turned and walked out of the house. I didn't even look back. Because there was nothing left to save. I got into my car and just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring at the windshield as if it could show me something, answers, maybe, or a version of my life where this didn't just happen. But the only thing staring back at me was my own reflection in the rearview mirror. Eyes red. Jaw clenched. A man undone. I didn't start the engine. I didn't even move. The weight of everything hit me at once. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the lies. The manipulation. The years I spent believing in something that was already dead. I could still hear her voice echoing in my head. You were never here. I felt alone. Logan made me feel alive. Bullshasters T. She never gave me a chance. She never told me she was drowning, just expected me to read her mind while juggling a job, bills, fatherhood, and making sure she had the life she wanted. I gave her comfort, loyalty, a future. And she gave me deceit, betrayal, and him. The tears came out of nowhere. Not the sobbing kind, just the quiet, bitter kind. Hot and shameful. I hadn't cried in years. Not even when my dad died. But this felt like mourning. Not for her. No. That version of Dana, my Dana, died a long time ago. I was mourning the life I thought we had. The family I thought I was protecting. The love I thought was mutual. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually, my phone buzzed. It was my sister, Maggie. Just a hey, how's the trip? Text. And I lost it again. Because I couldn't even answer her. What was I supposed to say? Hey Mag, turns out my wife's been playing Mattress Olympics with a guy named Logan in our house while I was away trying to keep our business above water. How's your Wednesday going? I tossed the phone on the passenger seat and started the engine. Not because I had a destination, but because I couldn't sit there 1 second longer. The house behind me felt like poison. A crime scene. My home had turned into a haunted museum of betrayal. I drove aimlessly. No music. Just the sound of the tires rolling and the storm in my chest. At a red light, a couple crossed the street holding hands. Laughing, she bumped into him playfully. He pulled her close. I looked away. It physically hurt to watch. I ended up at the park near our old apartment. The one we had when we were first married, when money was tight and we shared cheap wine and dreams under the stars. We used to sit on that stupid rusty bench and talk about the future. Kids. A house. Vacations. Growing old together. I walked to that same bench and sat down. The cold metal bit through my jeans. And I just sat there, letting the cold in, letting the pain breathe, letting myself feel it all. Because that's the part no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't hit like a truck. It seeps in. Slow. Cold. Rotting everything in its path. And the worst part? You start blaming yourself. What if I had come home earlier more often? What if I had asked the right questions? What if I noticed sooner? But no, that wasn't on me. This was on her. She made a choice. She lied. She let me be a fool. I pulled out my phone again and stared at Brooklyn's photo. Her smile. Her innocence. She had no idea her family was shattering. And I promised myself one thing right then and there. I would never let Dana twist this into something clean. She would not rewrite the story. She broke this. She chose it. And I would make sure she remembered every detail of what she destroyed. I didn't sleep that night. After hours in the park, I ended up crashing on my friend Jason's couch. He offered me a beer and a place to stay, and I barely spoke more than 5 words the whole time. He didn't press. That's what real friends do. They give you space to bleed without asking where the wounds are. I stared at the ceiling for hours, my mind playing scenes of my marriage like a highlight reel in reverse. The wedding, the honeymoon, our daughter's birth, her first steps, family barbecues, Christmas mornings, laughing in bed. Then the reel shifted. Late-night phone calls that went unanswered. Nights she said she was tired and rolled away from me. Business trips she told me to go on. It's important for your company, babe, while she was probably texting him. I couldn't keep living in the same house. Couldn't pretend things were salvageable. By morning, I had made my decision. I was going to end it. No more waiting, no second chances, no fake reconciliation for Brooklyn's sake. That ship had sunk the moment Logan's wet, grinning face showed up in my bedroom selfie. I called a lawyer. She was calm, professional, but the moment I mentioned infidelity and a minor child, her tone changed. She gave me a checklist, asked for documentation, and told me to gather everything I could before Dana caught wind of what I was doing. So that's what I did. I drove back to the house while Dana was out, probably at yoga or seeing her sister again. The irony made me sick. I packed a bag for Brooklyn. Her favorite pajamas. The stuffed giraffe she couldn't sleep without. School supplies. I wasn't going to rip her world apart more than I had to, but she wasn't staying under the same roof as that woman while I figured things out. Then I grabbed my laptop. The spare hard drive. Bank statements. Receipts. And every photo that reminded me we once were real. I couldn't look at them now, but I couldn't leave them behind either. I found one photo of Dana and me at the beach. She was on my shoulders, laughing, arms spread wide like wings. I stared at it for a long moment, then dropped it face down into the trash. Some memories weren't worth preserving. As I zipped the last bag, I heard the garage door open. My chest tightened. Dana walked in seconds later, wearing sunglasses and that smug smile like nothing was out of place. Well, she said, tossing her purse on the counter. Look who's back. I'm taking Brooklyn for a few days, I said, calm but firm. She laughed. Oh, and since when do you make the rules? Since you broke the damn game. She took off her sunglasses slowly. Is this supposed to scare me? You think you're going to get custody because I had a little fun while you were off pretending to be a CEO? I walked past her. Keep talking. The judge will love it. You're pathetic, Tyler, she snapped. You always were. You think some lawyer is going to fix this for you? You'll be crawling back the second you realize what you're losing. I turned and looked her in the eye. I already lost you, Dana. What I'm saving now is myself. Her face twitched. She didn't expect that. She expected me to fold, to break, to plead. But those days were over. I walked out without another word. Because when someone burns down your house, you don't stand in the ashes wondering why. You walk away. And I was finally doing just that. The silence in Jason's apartment the next morning was heavy. Brooklyn had stayed with me that night, her first night away from home without Dana. She didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. But I could tell she felt the shift. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. She looked at me while brushing her teeth and said, Daddy, why did Mommy look so angry yesterday? I crouched next to her and gently wiped toothpaste from her chin. Sometimes adults argue when they forget how to be kind to each other, I said. But I promise, I'll always be kind to you. She nodded like she accepted it. But deep down, I knew there were questions she wasn't ready to ask, and answers I wasn't ready to give. Later that day, my lawyer filed the papers. Dana found out within the hour. The first call came in around 3 p.m. I let it ring. The second one I answered. Are you insane? She snapped. No greeting. You're trying to make me look like an unfit mother? You made yourself look like that, I said evenly. I just put it on paper. This is revenge, she spat. That's what this is. You couldn't handle that someone else finally saw what I was worth. I almost laughed. Someone else? Dana, he used you. He got bored and moved on. He hasn't called you since I rearranged his jaw. The silence on the other end told me I'd hit the mark. Hard. Then her voice turned cold. You really want to go to war with me, Tyler? No, I replied. But I'm ready if I have to. I hung up. That was the beginning of the fallout. She started showing up at school drop-offs with tears in her eyes, whispering things to Brooklyn like, Daddy's just confused right now. She posted pictures on social media of her and our daughter smiling at the park with captions like, no matter what, love wins. Like she was the hero in all this. Like she wasn't the one who tore everything apart. Mutual friends texted me things like, I'm so sorry, man. I had no idea, and she told us you cheated first. That you were emotionally abusive. The lies came fast and thick. Dana was rewriting the past at lightning speed, trying to stay ahead of her guilt. But I didn't play defense. I stayed quiet, focused on Brooklyn, focused on work, focused on surviving the storm instead of trying to stop it. That killed her more than anything. The fact that I didn't chase her, that I didn't crawl back, that I let her go. One night, Jason and I sat on the porch after putting Brooklyn to bed. She always seemed sweet to me, he said, sipping beer. Charming. You think she always had this in her, or did something break along the way? I shook my head. I don't know, man. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I was so busy building a future that I didn't notice she was lighting a match behind it. He looked over at me. You still love her? I didn't answer right away. No, I said finally. But I miss who I thought she was. And that was the truth. I didn't miss Dana. I missed the idea of her. The version of her that smiled at the altar and said she'd love me forever. That version never existed. It was a mask. A damn good one. But once it slipped, there was no going back. And the fallout wasn't just pain. It was clarity. The kind that comes after a wildfire, when the smoke clears and all you're left with is scorched earth and the chance to rebuild. And I was finally ready to start. You don't realize how much noise a person brings into your life until they're gone. Dana wasn't just a presence, she was a storm. Her moods, her manipulations, the mind games wrapped in lipstick and perfume. Every day was a guessing game. Is she in love today, or is she planning her exit? But now silence. And for the first time in years, it felt like peace. After weeks of couch hopping, I signed a lease on a small 2-bedroom apartment in a quiet complex on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. No marble countertops or double vanity sinks. Just clean walls, steady heat, and enough space for Brooklyn to have her own room. I let her pick the paint color, sky blue with sparkles, and she smiled like she hadn't smiled in a while. That smile, man, it was the first thing in a long time that felt like hope. I set up a little office in the corner of the living room, reorganized my schedule, cut off a few toxic clients, started sleeping again, eating better. The kind of self-care I used to think was just a buzzword. But when your world implodes, you either sink into bitterness or you rebuild from it. Dana kept trying to claw her way back in. She sent emails late at night. You really think you'll be happy without me? I made one mistake. You're destroying our family over one mistake. Brooklyn misses me. You're poisoning her against me. That one almost made me snap. Because the truth was, Brooklyn missed her. Yeah, but she also noticed. She noticed when her mom stopped showing up to ballet practice. She noticed when Dana ignored her questions to text Logan. She noticed the yelling, the crying, the silence at dinner. Kids always notice. I didn't need to poison anything. Dana had done that all on her own. One afternoon, I took Brooklyn out for ice cream. We sat on a bench outside the shop, the sun dipping behind the trees. She looked up at me and said, Mommy said you're mad because she made a new friend. I took a deep breath, trying to find the words. Sweetheart, I said softly, sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love. Mommy made a choice, and now we're all figuring out what to do next. She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, do you still love her? That question hit like a punch to the chest. I loved her, I said. And I always will a little, because she's your mom. But love, real love, it has to be honest. And it has to be kind. Otherwise, it's just pretend. She nodded, then leaned her head against my arm. That was the moment I knew I was healing. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was finally okay with the fact that it never would be. Life after betrayal is strange. You expect rage to be the main emotion, but it isn't. It's grief. You grieve the love you thought you had, the person you thought you knew, the life you thought you were building. But then, after the grief, there's space. Space to think clearly, to breathe, to rebuild. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes too, times I put work first, missed signs, let distance grow. But I never betrayed her, never gave up, never disrespected the family we were trying to create. And now, all I could do was move forward. Not for revenge, not for pride, but for peace, for Brooklyn, for me. Because even when someone sets fire to your world, you still get to decide what rises from the ashes. I stood in front of the mirror one morning, buttoning my shirt before taking Brooklyn to school, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I didn't recognize the man looking back at me. But this time, that wasn't a bad thing. He looked calmer, sharper, lighter. Not because life had magically repaired itself, but because the burden of pretending was finally gone. I wasn't dragging around the weight of someone else's lies anymore. There's a strange kind of clarity that comes after being broken. You see people for who they really are. And you see yourself for who you became while trying to please them. I used to bend over backwards to make Dana happy. I twisted myself into shapes no man should ever be. I ignored red flags, buried gut instincts, laughed off moments I should have questioned. All for the sake of keeping the peace. But peace built on lies isn't peace. It's just quiet pain. I remember the last conversation I had with Dana face to face. It was at the lawyer's office. Cold room, sterile smiles, legal forms between us like a wall made of ink. She wore all white, like she was still pretending to be the angel in this story. She didn't look at me when she walked in. Just sat down, crossed her legs, and pulled out her phone. Typical. I signed the papers without a word. When it was her turn, she hesitated, then looked up at me for the first time in months. "Are you really done with me?" she asked. No smugness this time. No venom. Just that flat, bitter voice she saved for when she realized she'd lost control. I looked at her. Really looked. And I felt nothing. No anger. No longing. No urge to fix it. Just a hollow kind of gratitude. "Yeah," I said. "I'm done." She didn't cry. Dana didn't believe in tears unless they served a purpose. She just nodded, signed, and left. And that was it. The end of a chapter one once thought was my whole story. So, what did I learn? First, betrayal doesn't define you. It reveals you. And it reveals them too. You learn who stands beside you when the walls cave in, and who is swinging the hammer the whole time. Second, love is not supposed to be a performance. If you have to beg someone to choose you, they've already left. Third, and this one hit hardest, loyalty is wasted on the wrong person. I spent years giving Dana the best parts of me. And when she couldn't fill her own emptiness, she used me as the villain in a story she created to justify her betrayal. But I'm not the villain. I'm the man who stayed loyal. The man who fought for his marriage. The man who walked away with dignity, even when she tried to tear him down. And now, I'm the man who gets to rebuild. Not just for Brooklyn, but for me. One night, after putting her to bed, I sat on the balcony with a glass of whiskey and stared at the stars. Brooklyn had drawn a picture earlier that day. It was of her, me, and a house with a big sun in the sky. No Dana. Just us. When I asked her why, she said, "Because it's peaceful now, Daddy." And that was all I needed to hear. So, to any man reading this who's been cheated on, lied to, betrayed in the most brutal way, let me tell you something. You're not broken. You're not weak. And you are not alone. Walk away. Rebuild. Heal. Because peace, my friend, is louder than pain. And once you find it, you'll never settle for noise again.